Hey y'all, welcome back to Fusioneers. Today we're going to be making a quarter using the fillet method, which is going to be rather interesting. So if you've watched our other videos, we've already made a quarter using the kind of standard method, which is the outside profile method or outer profile, and then the cylinder method, which is the last video in this playlist. So if you haven't watched those, I'd recommend going ahead and checking those out. We have the PDFs available for the quarter file on our community. It's a SKOOL community. If you're interested in it, check it out at skool.com/Fusioneers. And this is the dimensions that we're going to be making this part. So let's go ahead and make a new design here. So go back to the outer. This is from last time. We're just going to be recreating this in a different method. And again, as I mentioned in the last video, this is not how I recommend making a quarter. I think the most common way is definitely the outside profile method, but this is just to kind of expand your mind and help you to kind of understand how there are a lot of different ways to kind of get to the final end result. And it's just to teach you some pretty basic modeling techniques, essentially. So let's go ahead and create a new design here. We click File, New Design, and then let's save. Let's call it Quarter Fillet. All right, and then we have it here, and you'll see that it's updated. It's fillet. Let's turn on the origin. And if you think about it, how are we going to make a quarter using a fillet? So first you need to know what a fillet is. So if you look up here, a fillet is basically rounding off a corner. So if we need to round off a corner, we need to have a corner. So if you think about that, what is like a shape that has corners on it that can be filleted into a circle, and that would be a square, right? So let's go ahead and click Create Sketch. Let's select this bottom plane here. And now what type of sketch you use, you can actually use a lot of different ones, but the one that makes the most sense to me is actually not up here on the kind of shortcut menu. So if you click down arrow on the Create tab here, you click on Rectangle or you highlight Rectangle. I really like the center rectangle, and I'll show you in just a second why. So let's select Center Rectangle. And the way the center rectangle works is you select the center first, kind of like the circle that we used previously, and then you dimension out the sides. So let's go ahead and let this be coincident with the center here. So we click there, and then we drag it out. And you can actually see sometimes it'll detect certain sizes. So right now that's a square. They're both 30 millimeters, but I'm just going to go ahead and say let's just make it just kind of whatever shape we want right now. And you'll see again, this is not constrained. We haven't given it dimensions. It can be changed, it can be altered as far as like the lengths of these sides. So the way that we give it dimensions is we click on Create and then Sketch Dimension, or we use the shortcut key, which is what I recommend you doing, D. And then we select the side. And then the side is going to be 23.4 millimeters. And the reason I did it 23.4 is because the diameter of a quarter is 24.3. That's my mistake. So let's go back and make sure we edit that. It's 24.3. And now you'll see that this is not a square. This is a rectangle. So there's a couple ways to actually make this into a square. One way that I like to use a lot is just to use the D shortcut again, which is dimension. So click D and then select this other side, and you'll see it's a lot shorter. Then we click again, and now we could type in 24.3, but there's a little bit easier way to do that, and it's just to click on 24.3, and you'll see D1 is referenced, and that's just saying that it's referencing this dimension. So when we click enter, you'll see that now we have a square. So that's the way that I like to do it. It's It's not necessarily the same as adding a constraint, but it effectively does the same thing. I'll quickly go back and undo this just briefly. And so now we're back to before I added that constraint. Another way to do it would be to add a constraint where we make this side equal to this side. So if we go up here and we find this constraint, which is equal, click on that. And then we're going to make this blue line equal with this line. And so that makes a square as well. So either way works. It's kind of whatever your preference is. But again, that's how you make the square. So now we're going to go ahead and click Finish Sketch. And now we're going to extrude this 1.8 millimeters. So you can go up here and click Extrude, but again, we're using our shortcut. So just click E on your keyboard. And now we're in the Extrude command. And now since it already has it highlighted for us, we're going to type 1.8. And then click Enter. So now we have a 1.8 thick square, or rectangular prism actually. So now the next step is to make this into a quarter. So how would we do that? We would add a fillet on all four corners. So this is how you get to fillet. You can click Modify Fillet, you can click the shortcut, or you can use F. And if you'll notice, most of the time the keyboard shortcut is the first letter of the word. So if you just kind of know the basic vocabulary, usually you can get to it pretty quickly. So this is the fillet command, or the fillet window. And what we're going to do now, it says that we're going to select the edges, faces, features. So select this corner, and we're going to rotate around, select this corner, and then select this corner. Okay. And then as far as the thickness or the size of the fillet, if we do our diameter size, which was 23.4? Okay. So you'll see that we get that error, right? It's not going to work because we need to do the radius. So you can calculate out the radius. It's going to be a decimal, right? But what I like to do is I like to say 23.4 divided by 2. So that's a good thing to know about Fusion, is it can do basic math, right? So I mean, it's pretty complicated piece of software, and it can do division. So anytime you need to halve something, just put in the full number and then click divide by 2 or \2, and then you get half of that. And click Enter, and now you'll see that we actually, I did it wrong. Edit feature, it is 24.3. I get those backwards sometimes. Okay, so now if we select the edge, you'll see that the diameter is 24.3, which is what we wanted, right? Which is the diameter of the quarter. All right, so now we've made a quarter in a couple of different ways. This way was using fillets. And the last kind of tip I want to show you, and I'll show you more of this going forward, but is a little bit of an issue that we've created for ourselves using that 24 divided by 2 method that I showed you a second ago. So if we go back and we edit sketch and we change this number, say we were trying to do a dime or something smaller than a quarter, so let's change it to 10 millimeters. This will update, and we didn't have to change the other side because we just told Fusion that we wanted this side to be equal to this side. And the reason that the other side updates is because these are all constrained into a rectangle, so you don't have to update all 4 sides. So if we click Finish Sketch, try to think where this is going to go wrong. And so we get this error. And the reason for that is because this did not update. This 24.3 is from what we typed in earlier. So wouldn't it be nice if we could somehow reference that length that we made? Well, there is. So if we go and delete this and then just say D1, which is, if we go back and remember, that was what we set it equal to when I showed you how to do that earlier, divided by 2, and click enter. Now that updates. And the reason is because we basically referenced a specific kind of model parameter. So if we go up to modify, change parameters, and then we click down here, you'll see D1 is 10 millimeters. So this is kind of the assigned variable for that dimension that we made earlier, which was the dimension of the square sketch. So now if we go back and change this back to, I don't want to say it wrong again, 24.3. So let's change this to 24.3. Now, do you think that it's going to calculate correctly or not? And the answer should be yes, because now we're referencing whatever's basically in this box is D1. And we're essentially just dividing D1 by 2 to get our fillet radius. So if we click enter, it increases the size back again, finish sketch, and now it works. Let's try an even bigger coin, so make it 50. Is it going to work? So it works. So that's what is really nice about Fusion and just parametric design in general, is once you kind of understand the basics of the software, you can make pretty complicated things. So again, that's a little bit advanced topic, to be honest, but I thought this is a good opportunity to kind of demonstrate that. And if you got lost, hopefully you can go back and look at it. And if you have any questions about it, make sure you leave a question in the Q&A section of our SKOOL community, and I'll get it to you when I get a chance. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.